When I build a Lego train, I do what I can to not scrap it. I don't know what it is with me, but whenever I go to build something, in time it will eventually be scrapped. I want to try and do something to give it that sense of permanence, and when it comes to Lego trains, there's so many trains I want to build. I basically build something and take it apart straight away, but with something like these locomotives that you are seeing in this video, they have been given a special treatment. I've recently added some special lining tape to these models, and to me that definitely gives them a sense of permanence because these are models that I'm very happy with and look infinitely better now that they have this lining tape on them. The P2s are basically my crown jewels. I love these locomotives so much. Both versions stand out as really gorgeous Lego trains. And I did these two first when I bought a bunch of trimline tape rolls online. I went through a lot of white and black, which is quite surprising because I didn't know how much I would go through. But the white lining along the side of the boiler and of course on the tender has a black line going through the middle of that. It's a bit difficult to see, but it's a thing that's, or well, I should say it's a detail that exists on the real model. So that's something I had to try and keep up with. And I still think that looks really good, and following that onto the Tornado model as well, because it's also an LNER locomotive. Following that design was quite easy, especially for the tender, because that has the white line going across the tender with the black lines inside them. Thankfully I was using less tape and I had to use a different thickness as well for the boiler because I was really running out at this point, which was, again, a bit of a shock. But with those three out of the way, the West Country was a lot easier to do because it needed less tape. All you really see in terms of using the trimline tape is the 3 yellow stripes going along the side of the boiler. It is a beautiful looking locomotive. I'm very happy with how things have changed recently when it came to scrapping one model. I've been able to upgrade this one and it looks just like a much better model. It looks so good, and because of that overall shape, it's so different and I just love it. I absolutely love it. The City of Truro was another easy model for me to do because it's a much smaller locomotive, and again it's only using one colour of tape. The City of Truro is using orange tape, and there's more on the tender than there is on the boiler, and that's actually pretty good because when there's more being used in one section, that tends to mean that that section's more complicated, but even then when it comes to the tender, it's just a bunch of squares, or rectangles as opposed to be more accurate. But even then, it's such a simple design, it just takes a while to do because, you know, tape's a bit finicky, you know, it's modelling tape, it's going to take a while for you to get right. And finally, the locomotive I think kind of sits atop against all others that I've made on my railway is my Thomas the Tank Engine. This was actually the very first Lego train that I built to have lining. This was the kind of the experiment that Tesla said, okay, if I'm going to add lining, go all the way, how does it look? It looks unbelievably good. I couldn't be happier with the way that I've built it, and with me using the trimline tape and adding other details like the face and the number 1 on the side of the boiler. It looks so perfect. I love it so much. So these 6 Lego trains sit on my railway in a very unique position. These Lego trains are going to be sticking around for a very long time. And there's no doubt when I say this, these are by far some of the best Lego trains I have ever built.